Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to the 8th inning stretch. I'm AJ. He's Carson. Welcome to those of you who are on the live stream. Welcome to those of you who are listening to this on demand. Carson, I realized the other day that I feel like sometimes we forget about our fans who listen to the show on demand, and that kind of made me feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously appreciate everybody who listens to the show, no matter where you may be, how you may be listening.
Yeah, exactly. So, we just don't want, we don't want to forget about anybody because all of you listening, whether it's the live stream, whether it's on demand on your favorite podcast platform, a couple days later, whatever, it all matters, and we appreciate all of you guys. So, that just occurred to me the other day, so I thought I'd mention that. But we are live right now, as we are every Sunday, at 8thinningpod.com/live stream and on demand wherever you get your podcasts. Anytime at linktree/8thinningstretch. Don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter at 8thinningpod. And for more, including our newsletter blog, Two Strike Count, and our original documentary series, The Book of Baseball, head to 8thinningpod.com and help us continue making the best indie baseball content this side of home plate by supporting the show using the QR code on your screen or 8thinningpod.com/donate. And if you are listening, if you are on the live stream on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Okay, spiel's out of the way. I feel like I should, Carson. I feel like we should warn. I feel like we should warn our fans because this episode might get a little, things might get a little heated, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there's been a story that has came out of the baseball world that is very close to home for my illustrious co-host. That
yes,
it's proven to be very divisive.
Yes.
So be prepared for potentially a little bit stronger, stronger language, should we say, maybe than usual.
Maybe.
This particular story could be triggering for some
of you. Yes.
Just want to make sure to get that out of the way, because as hard as it's going to be to talk about this, AJ, I think I can speak for you here when I say we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we didn't openly talk about this story.
Nope. This needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed. And actually, it was the it was the subject of our poll question, and I got to be honest with all of you. Me and producer Tasha, we kind of went back and forth on this week's poll question. She was like, "Hey, should we do this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Should we?" Anyways, the poll question is connected to this story, and we asked you guys if you agreed with Jarren Duran being suspended for the thing we're about to talk about. You all know what I'm talking about. 41% of you said maybe. Okay, fair enough. I get it. I mean, Carson just said how divisive this whole story issue has been. 30% of you said no, and only 29% of you said yes. Divisive is a good word for it, but I have to confess myself a little disappointed that so many of you, the maybe, I can roll with the maybe. I have to confess myself a little disappointed that more of you said no. You don't agree with him being suspended. More of you said no than said yes.
Yeah, I got to say, I guess for me, I don't know if necessarily maybe disappointed is the right word. I was
Yeah.
shocked.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I was
That's
more just, I guess, surprised from
mm,
and again, maybe I'm just basing this off of the reaction I saw online, which was mainly good. He should have been suspended, so maybe, maybe
mm,
I was going at it from that mindset. But yeah, I was more surprised, honestly, AJ, at the amount of maybes. I thought for
yeah.
sure that this was going to be one of those things where maybe was going to finish at the bottom. I thought for sure you either agreed with it or you didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm more surprised that so many people were kind of on
I
the fence on it.
I I kind of get the maybes. I kind of get where you guys are coming from. It's not a. I guess maybe for some of you, it's not a open and close, um, you know, issue. Um, I mean, me personally, I'm obviously in the yes category. And honestly, I think he should have been suspended for longer.
Yeah, you could certainly
I don't
make that argument, and
I don't think 2 games was enough. I really don't. So anyways, yeah, that's the poll results. So as always, thank you guys for participating in the poll. We know you guys enjoy that. We're always trying to come up with new and new and interesting poll questions. Some of you have asked about the idea of bringing back the trivia questions. That's something we can certainly look into. Maybe mix it up a little bit, but and maybe we can talk to the lovely folks at Printer Dudes and start giving away stuff again. So that's something we'll look into for sure. But for now, we're rolling with the poll questions. So thanks for everyone who voted, and of course keep an eye out for a new one starting Monday, tomorrow, whenever Monday is for you guys. But that'll be up on the website. So, all right. Yeah, I gotta be honest with you guys. I gotta mentally sort of. I've been mentally preparing myself to talk about this all week. So let's start with the basics. If in case you missed it, in case you've been living under a rock for the last week, Red Sox outfielder Jarren Duran. This was in a game last Sunday, so a week ago. Red Sox outfielder Jarren Duran was at the plate. He was batting. Took what I can best describe, Carson, as a tennis racket swing. I mean, a really bad swing. And as happens sometimes, a fan a fan or fans, I guess, expressed their opinion about this awful swing. Because fans are, us as fans, like, fans are part of baseball. Fans are part of sports, but fans are part of baseball in a different way because, for the simple fact that fans, Carson, in a baseball stadium, fans are generally closer to the players than any other sport. I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah, extremely fair.
The fans are closer, so there's more interaction between fan and player in baseball. In any case, the fans express their I'm not laughing at this thing. I'm laughing at I'm picturing the swing.
I
Fans,
believe the thing the fan said even was, "You need a tennis
tennis
racket."
racket. Yeah. As far as we know, yes. The fans expressed their opinion. Duran turned to the fans, turned around, and hurled a disgusting, repulsive, terrible, inexcusable, anti-LGBT slur at one of the fans. I'm not going to repeat what he said because
it starts with F and ends with T. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. A pretty much, like one of the most derogatory terms you can use for somebody who's LGBT. Way, totally unwarranted, totally inexcusable. No, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so that's basically those are the basics. Carson, I mentioned that there was a suspension. The Red Sox suspended Jarren Duran for 2 games. I thought it should have been longer.
Not to cut you off, but I was under the assumption it came from the Red Sox. It didn't come from the league.
Oh, did it come from MLB?
I mean,
it might have.
I was gonna say honestly, I don't know.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think the suspension did come from MLB. So MLB, because MLB does have a policy in place for this kind of stuff. I mean, in a perfect world, they shouldn't have to, but that's where we're at. Suspended for 2 games. The Red Sox, issued the usual statement. The Red Sox apologized. But I didn't see no apology from Duran. Or at least not a genuine apology. Yeah, this is just Carson, just talking about this makes me sick.
Yeah, I in a very similar vein, even though this might hit a little bit closer to home for my Red Sox loving co-host. I have been trying to formulate how I was going to talk about this because it's such a very hard subject to talk about, especially using this word that starts with F and ends with T. But first and foremost, absolutely unacceptable.
Yes.
In any situation.
Not just on the baseball field, in any situation.
Yeah, agreed. And I don't care if the fan was heckling you. I don't care if it was the fan from Happy Gilmore saying that
you jackass.
Yeah, I don't care who it was. Just in the baseball field, like you said, on the baseball field, in any situation in life, just not an acceptable word to have in your vocabulary.
No.
Looks like, according to this Jeff Passan article I had found, it was a kind of a combination between the Red Sox and MLB.
Okay.
So it sounds like probably the suspension came down from MLB. Red Sox probably told him, "Don't appeal this. Like, don't even try."
Yeah.
We stand behind the league. Looks like the Red Sox had also announced that his salary from the suspension was going to be donated to PFLAG, an organization that, from my understanding, helps to support like family, friends of those in the LGBTQ community. There is a video attached to this article of Duran after the game, like 1 minute and 13 seconds. Looks like Passan also says Duran, 27, apologized in a statement Sunday night for using a truly horrific word when responding to a fan. Before answering reporters' questions in the middle of the clubhouse Monday, Duran started by further apologizing to fans whom he said reached out to him and said they were disappointed in me. I'm sorry for my actions, and I'm going to work on being better, the 27-year-old outfielder said, as quoted by the Associated Press.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think a lot of the Red Sox are kind of standing behind him and saying as well that that he needs to work this out. Quote from Alex Cora, there's a lot of work to be done, and I'm here to help him out. Duran said he immediately turned and apologized to plate umpire Jordan Baker and Houston catcher Yainer Diaz for my actions. They were right there. They heard me say it. I'm assuming they cut the mic because of my inappropriate word. A little more in the statement. During tonight's game, I used a truly horrific word when responding to a fan. I feel awful knowing how many people I offended and disappointed. I apologize to the entire Red Sox organization, but more importantly to the entire LGBTQ community. Our young fans are supposed to be able to look up to me as a role model, but tonight I fell short of that responsibility. I will use this opportunity to educate myself and my teammates and to grow as a person. Which
nice canned, form letter statement, by the way.
And I mean, he said all the things that
right.
need to be said. I have certainly heard worse statements of apology.
Yes.
And again, I can't really speak to Jarren Duran, the person. That might be more your boat, but it seems like it was sincere. He's even started before he answered questions on Monday, the day after. He even started by again reiterating how sorry he was. So it seems like it's sincere, but I think the thing that's frustrating to me in all of this, and whenever these kind of social situations happen, AJ, is when I Googled Jarren Duran to try and find this article, the second thing that came up was Jarren Duran jersey sales.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Brace yourselves,
everybody.
Why is it that every time something like this happens, all of a sudden, like, the player is used as this martyr for some cause, and then their jersey sales go through the roof? That's the part of this that frustrates me the most, because it seems like, obviously, of course, the use of this word is absolutely horrific. And again, I can't, you being a Red Sox fan might know better than me, but it seemed like it was a genuine apology. It seemed like he truly is remorseful for his actions and what he said. But can we stop using these things and saying, oh yeah, everybody that's against the LGBTQ community felt like came out of the woodworks and started buying Jarren Duran's jersey? It's just like, come on, people. Do you really got to out yourselves this easily to the internet?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the thing about the jersey sales, because I wouldn't say most of the reactions, but a lot of the reactions I saw on social media were my own fault. I made the mistake of going into some of the threads, on the comment sections on some of the articles about this. And I was just, reading some of the comments made me want to puke. People, it was just in the heat of the moment. The fan shouldn't have said it. The fan shouldn't have been heckling him. And, it's not that bad. Basically, just a whole bunch of people justifying and defending what Duran did, which, for the record, that's almost as bad as actually, as saying the word yourself. Just to make that crystal clear. If you're going to sit there and defend somebody who acts like this, well, one, hello, that's a dead giveaway that you yourself act like this in similar situations. So you all suck. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up the jersey thing, because I could be wrong here. It happens, but to me, the only people The only people who are going out and buying his jersey in these crazy numbers are the same people who are in the comment section defending him. Like, why else would you do that?
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah, and there's that old the old saying that usually gets thrown around whenever something like this happens of, if all it took was a fan heckling him, then that's a word that's in his vocabulary.
Exactly.
It's not the first time that he's probably
No, probably not.
Right. And again, I have to try and think about how I want to phrase this because I want to make sure to phrase it delicately. In no way am I excusing what he said, but again, I hate the divisiveness of these things where immediately they want to you either want to make him a martyr or you want to just cancel him, really Red Sox should cut him, get him out of the MLB.
Yeah.
It just feels like that there's you're either on one side or the other. You can't be in the middle. And maybe the maybes in the poll question feel the same way as me, because again, in no way am I trying to, and I want to say this and make it perfectly clear that I am in no way excusing what he said. That word is horrible. That word is demeaning to any member of the LGBTQ community. Having friends in that community myself, I know how much power that word has when you use it, how much negative connotation it has. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. But to have the reactions to it feels like politics. You either are on one side or the other. Why can't we just have, because we both are bringing up our own, and again, these are our opinions, but like we're having a conversation about it. We're not saying, oh, you're wrong, you're stupid. Like there are plenty of different ways to navigate this issue without saying Red Sox should cut him or making him a martyr. Like, acknowledge what he did was bad. First and foremost, everybody should be doing that, by the way. And then, make your own opinion, draw your own conclusions from there. It's just, it sucks that it has to.
Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's like politics. I mean, this is the world we live in now. People don't have, for the most part, people don't have calm, mature adult conversations about this stuff anymore. And that sucks, but that kind of is what it is. That's a whole other. But as far as I mean, clearly this is not the first time he's used that word. Because you don't just throw that out out of nowhere. Like, yeah. And I get it. You were probably, and again, disclaimer, not defending what you did. I get it. You're frustrated. I think that was the game that the Red Sox got their butts kicked by the Astros. I get it. You're frustrated, but come on, man. Like, be better. And as far as the apology goes, I mean, obviously he did the right thing, by apologizing, and he said all the right things. The only issue I had with the apology was, I think it was the next day, before the game. And this could have been a coincidence. I admit this could have been a coincidence, but his choice to wear his trademark "fuck 'em" shirt the day after was an interesting choice.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, kind of forgot about that part.
That's where I have a problem with the apology and the, I've got to be better, and and his and I'm not saying his apology wasn't genuine, but that kind of takes away from everything he said for me.
Yeah, that was certainly an interesting choice.
Again, I don't know if it was deliberate. I don't know if he did it on purpose. But even the possibility that he did that on purpose, as to be part of the the fuck your feelings crowd, even if that was, even the possibility that that was on purpose, really, I have a hard time believing anything he said. But anyways, obviously, just a bad situation all around. I do think, I mean, I'm glad he was suspended. I do think the suspension should have been longer. But hopefully being suspended 2 games, and the reaction to what he did, hopefully that's, and genuinely, I genuinely hope, Carson, that he does do the things he said he was, he does, he does take the steps to become a better person and move past this. I really do, because that's better for him, and that's better for his teammates, and that's just better all around.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what we all, I think, hope for.
Sure. That being said, sometimes, people, that, the kind of people that use that kind of language, they don't normally change their stripes, but, I guess we have to keep an open mind. Yeah. So, the suspension, I mean, 2 games, was 2 games enough? Should it have been more?
I will say 2 games did seem a little weak to me as well. I mean, then again, knowing MLB, I mean,
yeah,
I thought
right.
maybe, I thought maybe I would have been, I'm okay with the 2 games, but I thought maybe like a 4 or 5 game suspension might have been a little bit more effective, I guess might be the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it could have been a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, baseball has and in no way am I comparing these 2 things, but so for PED suspensions, baseball has the, first offense, it's this many games, second offense is this many games, third offense, that's it. You're basically, you're done. I'm not saying anybody should be necessarily kicked out of the league or cut from the Red Sox, like I saw some people saying. Come on, don't be ridiculous. But I would like to see MLB implement some sort of policy where for this kind of stuff, where first offense, 5-game suspension, second offense, a longer suspension, and a third offense, you're an even longer suspension. I don't think that would be the worst thing.
Yeah, I think it would send a very clear message that this is not okay.
Yep.
A message that, if we're being honest, again, probably should have been sent a long time ago.
Yes.
But yeah, I would love to see some sort of policy like that implemented. I can't remember. I think it was a couple of years ago. I can't remember who the player was, but I know that I think there was like a player on the Blue Jays or something that, and maybe I'm completely off base here, but I think he had like worn eye black with like an anti-gay slur in Spanish.
I remember that. Something.
And
Yeah.
I think he got 3 games suspension. So kind of holding that against this suspension, especially, I would have liked to see it be a little bit longer.
Yeah, that was yeah, I don't remember his name, but actually there was, I don't know if it was the same guy, but the Blue Jays actually cut a pitcher because he made a he posted or reposted a video on social media that basically called for people to boycott any LGBTQ friendly companies. And then when they, you know, obviously the Blue Jays called him out on it, and then he doubled down by defending the pre-post, and the Blue Jays actually cut him. So that's not an unprecedented move. I don't agree with the people who said Duran should have been cut for this. I mean, if it happens again, you know, but I mean that seems a little, you know, maybe a little extreme. One last thing I did want to talk about this, and we will move on here in a second. One last thing I wanted to talk about this. Amid the interesting comments that I read about, you know, on social media about this, you know, mixed in with the people defending him, which gross. Another common thread. Another common thread that I saw where people, actually, maybe I can find it. I think I have. Hang on. Sorry, everybody. Bear with me for a second. Let's see where. Come on, where is it? Okay, I can't find it. Anyways, there was a couple of the comments I read, but there was one that stuck out in particular. I probably should have saved it. Where basically, not only were they defending Duran for this, they were some people decided to take this as an opportunity to crap on the city of Austin, to take cheap shots at my hometown. I do. There was one in particular that said something like, you know, oh, I thought you had to use anti-LGBTQ slurs before they'd let you move to Boston, or something really idiotic like that. Listen, as disgusting as it is, you know, okay, fine, go ahead and defend Duran for what he did. Go out and buy his jersey. We'll go ahead and waste your money and buy his jersey if you want. But I will not sit back and let anyone take a cheap shot at my hometown. Jarren Duran might play for the Red Sox. He might even, you know, you could go as far as to say, you know, he plays for the Red Sox. He represents the Red Sox. He does not represent the city of Austin, nor do any of the other idiots who use this kind of language or any other derogatory language. All right. So back the hell off my hometown.
Yeah, that's fair. Hard to argue that one, but yeah, it's not fair to rope an entire town into something that one person does. So
right. So knock it off. And yes, I know somebody pointed out to me oh well, Boston's got a yes. I will freely admit Boston has had its problems in the past, especially when it comes to race relations. Boston has definitely had its problems in the past. But hey, in case you missed it, in case you've been living under a rock, it's 2024, right? It's not 1964 anymore. So, yeah. Anyways, all right, let's move on. Any last thoughts about this whole mess before we move on?
Just everybody be kind humans.
Yes. Can't believe that needs to be said, but yes. My little thing I do at the end of every show, everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, that I totally did not steal from the late great Jerry Springer. Yeah, that's part of that. Taking care of each other is be just to to quote one of my favorite lines in one of my favorite movies, be nice. That's it. It takes way less energy and way less effort to just be nice. What's the old adage, Carson? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yep.
Some people really need to remember that. But anyways, yeah, so that's kind of that. On to actual on the field baseball stuff. A little more, well, I don't know about more lighthearted, but wow, holy crap. The injuries are starting to pile up for contending teams. Christian Yelich of the Brewers is going to have season-ending back surgery. Jazz Chisholm Jr., the apparently prized acquisition of the New York Yankees at the trade deadline, out with the UCL injury. The possibility of surgery still on the table for him. And Carson, your Dodgers, bad news in Dodgerland. Tyler Glasnow now headed to the IL with an elbow injury.
Yeah, big time not good for especially with Tyler Glasnow.
That's a big blow to the Dodgers.
Yeah, that rotation needs him. He has been solid so far this year for the Dodgers, but man, the out of the three of these though, that the one that I think really hurts the one that I think is the most damaging is Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
He was on pace to have potentially an MVP type season for the Brewers. He is absolutely on fire. Been a huge part of why the Brewers right now are leading the NL Central, but losing him is obviously huge. Maybe the Yankees may be having a little bit of buyer's remorse, unfortunately, with Jazz Chisholm. Like you said, surgery is still on the table. As far as we know, there have not been any sort of decisions made yet. And again, with UCLs, a lot like the meniscus. Shout out to JJ McCarthy. Get better soon. All of us Vikings fans want to die. But much like those kind of injuries, it all kind of, I think, depends on how bad the injury is. If you have to go in and do a full repair. So, but obviously injuries are never a good thing. But I think Christian Yelich is the one that's going to hurt his team the most.
Yeah, that's a big blow to the Brewers. Obviously, like you said, he's a big part of why they are where they are right now and all the success they've had this year. So, obviously, you never want to see players get injured. It always sucks. I thought the Yankees going out and getting Gestures was just a weird move to me to begin with. Bringing in a questionable clubhouse guy into the, the Yankees clubhouse and the reputation it has is everybody being, very, very, clean cut and straight laced and, everyone, the whole thing with the haircuts and the, facial hair and everything and Jazz Chisholm, really? Okay. But yeah, obviously we wish, all these guys to get better. Yeah, as much as losing Christian Yelich hurts for the Brewers, to me, the one out of these three that hurts the most for the team is Tyler Glasnow, because that Dodgers rotation has been beat up all year. You've been without Walker Buehler. You've been without Clayton Kershaw. You finally got Kershaw back. Sure, they went out and got Jack Flaherty at the deadline, which they desperately needed that help. But looking at that rotation, down the stretch and into the playoffs, you've basically got Jack Flaherty, a bunch of dudes from AAA, and an over the hill Clayton Kershaw. If I'm a Dodgers fan, Carson, that does not inspire a lot of confidence.
No, it certainly doesn't. But I think the thing for me that kind of put the Christian Yelich injury over the edge of the Tyler Glasnow is because all the things you are saying are true.
Yes.
Our rotation's been very beat up. We and Bobby Miller, who has kind of been the plug and play starting pitcher, not been doing so hot at the major league level. But the thing that kind of gives me hope in this is that yesterday the MRI on Glasnow's elbow came back clean, didn't reveal any sort of structural damage, which is a really, really good sign.
That's a good sign. Yeah.
Because that means that no matter what, he will at some point be back.
Right.
So I think for me, that is kind of the key part of this here is that Christian Yelich, he's not going to be able to help the Brewers at all in the regular season for a playoff run. He's done.
Yeah.
Whereas Tyler Glasnow will at some point. Now, again, I don't think Dave Roberts has announced any kind of timeline yet. Again, we just kind of found out that this MRI came back clean yesterday. But at some point, he will be able to come back and aid this rotation.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, Christian Yelich he's done. We won't see Christian Yelich on the field for the Brewers until next year. So, until spring training, I guess. But, that sucks. The Brewers, man, like the Brewers finally, the Brewers, to me, the Brewers have been one of the best stories in baseball this year. They lost their manager. Their manager Craig Counsell not only left, he left to go manage a division rival. You traded Corbin Burns, one of the best pitchers in baseball. And then they still in first place. They've basically been in first place all year. And now this. So, that just sucks. I guess that's baseball sometimes. Yeah. So I don't know. But obviously we hope that all these players, everybody gets the care that they need and everybody gets back on the field at some point. Because I don't know, man. Injuries are the worst part of baseball.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Speaking of one of the worst parts of baseball, our not so illustrious Commissioner Rob Manfred. Yeah. So most of you have probably seen by now this this talk from Manfred and from the commissioner's office about wanting to implement a rule that says starting pitchers have to go at least 6 innings. So a little background on this. So obviously going into the 2023 season, MLB implemented all these rule changes. The pitch clock, which has been a huge success. They eliminated the defensive shift. They made the bases bigger. They put a limit on pickoff throws. All these changes have been, they've led to shorter games and more action on the field, which is obviously a good thing. But now the commissioner office wants starting pitchers to spend more time on the mound and pitch deeper into games and less time in the operating room undergoing surgery on their arms, which that's definitely been a big problem. Way too many pitcher injuries. Baseball also wants more balance in the sport that has revolved around strikeouts in recent seasons. Also true. So Manfred said, oh no, this is an MLB official. This wasn't actually Manfred that said this. We're interested in increasing the amount of action in the game, restoring the prominence of the starting pitcher, and reducing the prevalence of pitching injuries. There are a whole host of options in addressing these issues. The league has discussed a limit to the size of pitching staffs, and the double hook rule, the DH, meaning so the double hook on the DH. Basically, if a team removes their starting pitcher before a certain point, they also lose their designated hitter, which I'm sorry, I think that's idiotic. But the big thing they're talking about, Carson, is this requiring starting pitchers to go at least 6 innings every time they take the mound. I hate to, just like jump to conclusions, but holy crap, this sounds stupid.
This is for all of you who say that we agree on everything all the time, because I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Now there are certain things about this that if you go in depth and kind of read about it, that I do not like. Like I do not like if a starting pitcher gets injured, they automatically have to go on the IL. Like no, like that's kind of dumb. But I think one of the big things that people who are pro this idea are saying is that this at least gives you, as again, a lot of this is probably looking at it from the whole reason that they're trying to implement this potentially is from the fan perspective of this will at least let you know that, and there are certain conditions where a starting pitcher can be pulled out early if they've crossed, I think it's like if they've crossed 100 pitches or let in like 4 earned runs or something like that. I don't exactly recall. But again, looking at this from a fan perspective, it guarantees that I'm going to go to Target Field and I'm going to see Pablo Lopez pitch at least 6 innings. It throws out this stupid analytical idea that a certain manager in the league, Rocco Baldelli, seems to like to do of, it's this pitcher's 3rd time through the order, time for him to go bye-bye, because I've always thought that that's incredibly stupid. If you got a guy who's on fire, why are you taking him out because it's his 3rd time through the order? That's dumb. Again, at Rocco Baldelli. But yeah, I kind of like it. There are things that need to be tweaked, obviously, but I kind of like it from a perspective of at least I know that I'm going to potentially see like a Corbin Burns go for 6 innings.
And they're okay. Here's what I don't like. They're talking about wanting to cut down on pitching injuries. There are better ways to do that. Like, how about we tweak the pitch clock first before we go and also how exactly how do you can't just force starting pitchers to throw 6 innings. That's like I don't know. Can we not try like tweaking and adjusting the pitch clock before we go scorched earth over here?
No, yeah, and that's a good point. I didn't think about it from the, again, pitching injuries is a big problem right now, and potentially forcing a starting pitcher to go out there for 6 innings could be catastrophic.
Right.
And again,
also,
maybe that's part of why they have that rule in place of if a pitcher comes out injured, they have to go on at least like the 10 or 15-day IL.
right.
Maybe that certainly is probably a part of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point.
And as far as the pitching injury goes, obviously pitching injuries have been off the charts. There's been way too many. But that was already becoming a trend before the pitch clock. Everybody seems to want to blame the pitch clock for the increase in pitching injuries. And I'm not saying that's not part of the problem, but the bigger part of the problem to me is teams putting so much emphasis on velocity. They're telling these pitchers to go out there and they want them to reach back and throw 150 freaking miles an hour on every pitch. Or put however many revolutions per minute of spin on their breaking balls. I would start there. Like, if MLB is really serious about reducing pitcher injuries and keeping these guys off the IL, they need to go to the teams and be like, hey, look, enough with the velocity and spin. Like, just let pitchers go out there and pitch. Like, start there. Like, because your starting pitcher has to go 6 innings. That just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like a pretty big leap to me. Like, there are other smaller, simpler steps that can be taken first. Which far be it for me to sound cynical, but and I'm not saying MLB doesn't have good intentions with this, because they probably do. But this seems to me like it's more about we've got to make sure that these starting pitchers, kind of like you were talking about with Pablo Lopez and Corbin Burnes, like, we've got to make sure that these starting pitchers stay on the mound for 6 innings to put butts in the seats. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm going to the game regardless. I'm obviously it's more interesting when a marquee starting pitcher is starting the game, and sure, it sucks when they're out after 5 innings, but this seems more like a PR thing to me than an actual solution. Like, I don't know. I feel like there are smaller, simpler steps that could be taken first. And also, I'm really interested to see how I'm very interested to see, Carson, how the Players Association is going to react to this.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't be too happy about this. And I think I saw something online of, if this goes through, the MLBPA should go on strike right now.
I mean, talk about going scorched earth. I'm pretty sure the Players Association is not going to be a fan of this. I don't know if you have, but I haven't seen any I haven't seen any reaction from players about this yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I've only seen reactions from GMs and stuff. Yeah, in fact, there's some quotes here from different GMs and assistant GMs of, and actually, yeah, they were talking about the pulling back on velocity and, stop, a pullback on pushing guys to throw, on hunting strikeouts on every, in every at bat. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm willing to keep an open mind on this until we learn more. But Carson, my big concern with this is the reaction of the Players Association, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to want to go along with this.
Yeah, something tells me Tony Clark and all the boys over there at the MLBPA, as soon as they saw this story circulating, they went to they were the old cartoon characters where there's steam coming out of the ears and the
Yeah.
train whistle going.
But that being said, the current CBA doesn't expire until the end of next season. So, yeah. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. The CBA expires on December 1st of 2026. So we're a little ways away from the end of the current CBA. Which is probably a good thing, but that also probably means that there's a chance that this doesn't get implemented until the new CBA. This is the kind of thing where you go, all right, this is something we need to talk about during the negotiations for the next CBA.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not a small thing. So, I don't know, everybody. This is something to keep an eye on. I don't necessarily agree that the players should just automatically go on strike. Well, because of, just because the MLB is talking about doing this. But I mean, all joke, like, this could really be a major sticking point in the negotiations for the next CBA.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Something to keep an eye on, everybody. Hopefully cooler heads prevail. But I don't know. We'll see. I kind of don't like where that's going already, but we'll see. All right, let's play some buy or sell. So Aaron Judge recorded his 300th career home run here just a couple of days ago, which, naturally, anytime a player reaches that kind of milestone, that reignites the Hall of Fame discussions. So Carson, buy or sell that Aaron Judge will be a Hall of Famer?
Buy. Like, come on. I mean, as if he no brainer for me. Breaks the record for fastest to 300 home runs. Tied had just a little thing of what did he do a year or two ago? AJ set the single
American League home run record. Yeah.
Beating Roger Maris. I'm pretty sure he was pretty good at
yeah,
hitting.
he was all right.
He was pretty good at baseball. So yeah, this is a no-brainer for me. He will absolutely be a Hall of Famer someday. Bye.
I don't know. This is some people's, yeah. I mean, some people, yourself included, seem to think this is a slam dunk. I think I gotta sell. Only. Well, okay, Yankees fans, calm down. Put away your pitchforks. I'm gonna say sell, but only because I think he should be. Let's put it this way: if I had a Hall of Fame vote, and Aaron Judge comes up on the ballot, I would 99.9999% vote for him. He should be. I just don't know. I don't know if he will be. I don't know if it's quite the slam dunk that I don't know, man. Like, yeah, he probably will be, but I don't know for sure. I don't know if it's quite a slam dunk. So, all right, here come the angry emails from Yankees fans. All right. We were talking earlier about the Brewers being, to me, one of the best stories in baseball this year, and one of the biggest surprises. But one of the other biggest surprises resides in the same division as my illustrious co-host, Beloved Twins. Carson, buy or sell that the Cleveland Guardians are the biggest surprise of the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy this. I think there was a lot of questions kind of surrounding this Guardians team coming into the season, especially with Stephen Vogt coming in as the manager, and could they potentially, it was a bit of a down year last season. Obviously, could they potentially get that production back? And they have gone ahead and silenced every single hater that they had. At least I think so. But yeah, they've been absolutely incredible this season. For me, the only team that could rival them as the biggest surprise would be the Brewers. But even then, the Guardian, and again, maybe this is a little bit of division foe bias, but they have blown my expectations for them absolutely out of the water. So I 100% buy this.
Yeah, no, I'm buying this too. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, Stephen Vogt. There were a lot of question marks there. The other thing that I looked at at the beginning of the season was the Guardians were putting a lot of stock and putting a lot of pressure on their young players. And then, here comes Ben Lively in their rotation. David Fry, who came out of absolutely nowhere to make the All-Star game. Stephen Kwan has been, talking about power. Emmanuel Clase, best closer in baseball, ?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
There are obviously some other really good closers in baseball, but Emmanuel Clase is one of those rare closers where as an opposing player and as a fan, when this dude comes out of the pen, the game's over.
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gents, is a invaluable weapon to have in your arsenal come October. Because inevitably you are going to be playing close games in October, and I think having Class A at the back end of that bullpen really gives the Guardians a leg up. Yeah, no, they've been a huge surprise. It's been them and the Brewers. Them and the Brewers have both been awesome stories this year. And I'm pretty sure we talked about it before, Carson, but Stephen Vogt has my vote for AL Manager of the Year. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
No brainer. Because what he's done with that team has just been sensational. Yeah, unbelievable. So, all right, Jackson Merrill of the Padres. Talk about having a season. Jackson Merrill has had himself one heck of a year, and has made things very interesting in the NL Rookie of the Year race. So Carson, buy or sell that Jackson Merrill should be NL Rookie of the Year?
Oh, this is this is tough because obviously there are a few different candidates who could certainly make their case. But the question here, and I think the key word for me buying this is should be rookie
Mm-hmm.
of the year. And because of that should there, I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely buy this because,
Mm.
no disrespect to Paul Skeens, who has been absolutely on fire, but Jackson Merrill has been in the big leagues all year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Paul Skeens hasn't.
exactly, like
Yeah.
I think that has to have some merit that he's been here all season long. Like I don't understand, and that's one of the not to have a little mini rant, but that's one of the frustrating things about these Rookie of the Year awards is that all of a sudden a guy who comes up mid-season or
Mm-hmm.
a little bit before then, it's like, oh, all of a sudden, like he has some great performances, and it's he should be Rookie of the Year. No, that's not how it should work. You should have to be in the pros the entire year in
Yep.
order to be Rookie of the Year.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. No, not a fan of the this, he only played a third of the season and he's rookie of the year. Yeah, no. You have to play, I mean, I don't know. Maybe not the whole season because the way like call-ups work. But I think if you haven't been called up, I don't know, let's say by the end of the first month if you haven't been called up by the end of April, you're disqualified.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So, but yeah, should be, yes, I will buy this again because of the wording, because it says should be rookie of the year. Jackson Merrill has had an unbelievable season. It seriously, guys, if you haven't seen this kid play, do yourself a favor and tune into the Padres and watch this kid play. He's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, obviously what Paul Skeens has done Paul Skeens has had himself a hell of a year, but again, he hasn't been. I mean, when did Paul Skeens get called up? June, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there, I
Yeah,
think.
it was before the All-Star break. I know that. So, not to take anything away from Paul Skeens whatsoever, but yes. So Jackson Merrill should be Rookie of the Year. However, I don't think so this is kind of the opposite of the Aaron Judge thing. I don't necessarily think he will. Because there's another Jackson playing for the Milwaukee Brewers, Jackson Churio, who I've got a feeling might sneak in there.
Yeah.
Jackson Churio's had himself one hell of a year.
He has. He's been incredible.
This is gonna be this is shaping up to be maybe the closest Rookie of the Year race. Easily one of the closest Rookie of the Year races in recent memory. Maybe the closest ever, because you've got Paul Skeens, you've got Jackson Merrill, you've got Jackson Churio, and Carson. How could we forget Shota Imanaga? I mean, those are four legit candidates for Rookie of the Year, and you could make a strong argument for all four of them. So, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The American League Rookie of the Year race, not so much. I mean, I think the AL Rookie of the Year, I think it's Colton Cowser's race to lose at this point. But
yeah,
as much as I would love to see one of my, Ceddanne Rafaela or Wilyer Abreu from my Red Sox get in there, I think it's Colton Cowser's to lose. So, speaking of my Red Sox, so good news, bad news. Good news. Tristan Casas finally back from the IL, back to full strength, apparently, according to Alex Cora. And as is the case with moves like this, when you get a player back, a lot of times you have to clear a roster spot. So the Red Sox designated Dom Smith for assignment. For those of you who haven't seen Dom Smith play, I would use one word to describe Dom Smith, and that word is electric. So they DFA'd Dom Smith. So buy or sell that DFAing Dom Smith was a bad move for the Red Sox.
Again, this you will probably be able to talk on this better than I will, but I'm gonna sell this. Based on his stats were okay, but in order to play the first base position, especially when you're replacing a guy like Tristan Casas. I had actually looked at an article a little bit before we came on air, doing some research on this because I wasn't super familiar with Mr. Smith. Looking at his stats, when you're playing first base, you're kind of expected to provide a little bit of pop in the lineup, and Dom didn't really do that. Based on his, some of his defensive statistics that I was seeing, he was kind of average defensively too. And I think that was just kind of the combination of him getting sent down. And plus, when you're bringing back a guy like Tristan Casas, and usually with these injury replacements, usually the guy who got called up to replace the injured player is the one who gets DFA'd or sent down. So I'm personally going to go ahead and sell this, but again, you could probably speak on this better than me.
Yeah, I mean, no, Dom Smith's numbers were his stats were okay. I don't know. Like, I feel like, and I was actually just scanning here. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head of other, but they had other options. The one thing Dom Smith did bring to this lineup, which you can never have too much speed in your lineup. He brought a lot of speed to the lineup. Actually, there was a game, they played a game against your Twins where Dom Smith got on base, stole first, stole second, and then stole third, like on the very next pitch. And I don't think you can have enough guys like that in your lineup. There were other players. I mean, not that you ever want to see anyone get DFA'd, because that just sucks. But there were other players they could have DFA'd other than Dom Smith. And I know Casas is back. I know Alex Cora said Alex Cora said something, I think it was earlier today, something about like, oh, he's off the trainers, like basically he's off the trainers list, he's fine, he's back. Yeah. Can we I know they had to make a roster spot, but couldn't we have just made damn sure that Casas is 100% before you go and cut Dom Smith loose? That seems a little risky to me. I just and I mean, obviously I hope Tristan Casas isn't actually 100% and that he's back, like back, but I don't know. That was little risky there, Red Sox. Not sure about that one, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. All right. Mailbag time. Don't forget, you guys can drop us a line at 8thinningpod.com/mailbag or 8thinningstretch@gmail.com. And we just might read your message on an upcoming episode. We did a little something different. This week with the mailbag. So last week we were talking about with this year's, with the Paris Olympics coming to a close and the focus shifting to the 2028 games in LA and the possibility of MLB players playing in those Olympics because they're putting baseball back in the Olympic program for LA. So we asked you guys to weigh in on the pros and cons, as it were, of MLB players playing in the Olympics and mostly focusing on how it would affect the season. So here we go. First up is Jared M. As epic as seeing MLB's big names compete for their countries, I'm not willing to mess the season up for it.
That's fair. I get it. Yeah.
I think because Carson, a lot of what I've been seeing a lot of is, they'd have to shorten the season. We may or may not have to get rid of the All-Star game. Paul T also shortening the season and or getting rid of the All-Star game isn't worth it to get MLB players in the Olympics. Again, yeah. Lucy P, I don't think tweaking the schedule to possibly get a gold medal game involving Ohtani or any of the other big stars is too much to ask. Okay, so Lucy's a little more open to that. This might be the best one. Cassie L, I say shorten the season to 154 games and include an Olympic break like the NHL does, and let's make it happen.
Anthony Rendon would certainly be happy with that.
Yes, he would. Who, oh, by the way, he just landed back on the IL again.
Pretend to be shocked.
Yeah, let me put on my shocked face. I
like it.
Okay, I don't hate it. And actually, I don't think shortening the season to 154 games on a permanent basis is the worst idea in the world either. But I don't mind shortening the season just for this case, just this one time, because the Olympics are in LA. I don't hate that idea. The NHL does do the Olympic break, and it seems to work. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of interrupting the season for 2 weeks or whatever it is. I'm willing to budge on the shortening the season thing. Carson, where I'm not willing to budge, I don't care if it's a tournament between Team Earth and Team Mars. I am not willing to give up the All-Star game.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, the game between Team Earth and Team Mars, Team Mars would forfeit, so Team Earth would have a winning streak for a millennium. So I wouldn't hate that. But no, I think that's a fair ask. I mean, as again, with Cass, kind of expanding on Cass's idea of the Olympic break, you gotta try and plan it a little bit strategically. Maybe that means moving the All-Star game for a year, so that it can be accommodated. Because that is, as much as we as baseball fans may complain about it and want changes to be made, let's face the facts here. The All-Star game is one of the highest drawing things in sports. No matter if it's baseball, NHL, and don't let dwindling viewership numbers tell you otherwise, because at the end of the day, you will get casual fans of the game. You will get hardcore fans of the game coming together for one game. So 100% agree with you on that. And maybe it requires, and maybe this goes into a little bit of Paula's point, but it requires maybe moving the All-Star game to be able to accommodate this break.
Yeah, so the problem we run into, so the LA Olympics are scheduled from July 14th to July 30th in 2028, which is exactly when the All-Star game normally happens, that second week of July. So yeah, I guess maybe they can do something with the All-Star game, but the only problem I see with that is, okay, if you're going to if we're going to shorten the season and take an Olympic break to let the players go play in the Olympic baseball tournament, are they really going to take another break at some other part of the season to play the All-Star game? That seems like a lot.
That's fair.
That's a I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with that, but that is a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not going to be easy. This sucks. This really sucks. And then last but not least, yeah, Paula says the logistics are tricky. Yeah, it's an understatement. But I feel like MLB's got to find a way to make it work if they're serious about growing the game. Oh boy, there's that phrase again. That we keep hearing from Rob Manfred. I mean, Paula is 100% spot on though.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, the logistics are tricky might be the understatement of the century.
Yes.
But I mean, maybe again, I think Paul's right. I feel like MLB is going to find a way, because again, I think the biggest part of that, if they're serious about growing the game, they have to find a way. Have to.
Yeah. And I don't know what that looks like. I mean, all this is pretty like reckless speculation on our part, Carson, because there's like, I mean, I know the LA games are 4 years away. But we don't even have confirmation that MLB is even going to. MLB hasn't even agreed to participate yet. So there's that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. It's a logistical nightmare. Hopefully, MLB and the LA Olympic Committee, hopefully they can. I know Rob Manfred has met with I forget his name, Casey something. He's the chair of the LA Olympic Committee. Hopefully they can get together and figure something out. Because I think we can all agree, whether we, however we might feel about shortening the season or moving the All-Star game or dropping the All-Star game altogether, no matter how you feel about that, Carson, I think we can all agree a possible, just the mere possibility of a gold medal game between Team Japan and Team USA, Shohei Ohtani against, well, maybe Mike Trout, we'll see. But I'm just thinking back to the last World Baseball Classic where we got that epic showdown between Ohtani and Trout, who were teammates at the time. The epic showdown with the championship on the line. Yes, more of that, please. And also, I think from a player's perspective, I mean, what player doesn't want to, represent their country? So I don't know. We'll see. We've got a ways to go. Again, 4 years away. We got a ways to go. There's a lot to discuss and a lot to work on between now and then. One last kind of quick thing I do want to mention about the Olympics. So, obviously the Paris games are over. The Paris games, Paris did a fantastic job hosting. And everybody's talking about 2028 in LA. I mean, and I get it, here in the States, everyone's excited to have the games back on American soil for the first time in a very long time, since 2002. But in case y'all forgot, there are Winter Olympics in 2 years, Carson, in beautiful Cortina, Italy.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about the 2026 in Italy. And I'm just like, did you guys forget that there are Winter Olympics in 2 years? I know the Winter Olympics aren't as big or as, whatever as the Summer Olympics, but there are Olympics in 2 years in Italy, which I know my illustrious co-host will be watching with great interest.
Of course. I mean,
being in Italy and all.
being in Italy, obviously I'll be rooting for Team USA as well as Team Italy. We got to perform on our home soil.
Yes. Yeah. So anyways, don't forget that there are Olympics coming in 2 years. But anyways, all right, that's it for the mailbag. Thanks as always, everyone, for sending in your messages. Next week we'll get back to our, sort of more regular mailbag, I guess. And again, you can drop us a line at 8thinningpod.com/mailbag or at 8thinningstretch@gmail.com to have a chance for us to read your messages on the next on an upcoming episode. Real quick, let's peruse the schedule here real quick and see what we've got for must-watch games and or Tankathon. Carson, your Minnesota Twins starting Monday, heading to sunny San Diego to take on the Red Hot Padres.
Big series there, of course.
Big series.
Huge series. I mean, we got a, kind of couple of rough series against Cleveland and Kansas City coming into this current series with the Rangers, where we could get the sweep today. So hopefully we'll have a little momentum on our side heading into, like you said, a red hot Padres team.
Yep. That's going to be a good one. We've got Guardians, Yankees. That obviously has huge implications for the American League playoff race.
Go Yankees.
I'll just pretend you didn't say that.
Hey, I gotta, you know what?
I
didn't like saying it either, but
I get it. We've got Phillies and Braves. That's a good one. The Phillies have cooled off a little bit since the All-Star break. So that NL East race isn't as big a, isn't as over as everyone thought it was, maybe. Brewers Cardinals, that's always good. Little NL Central rivalry there. The Cardinals have started to play some pretty good baseball as of late. Beat the Dodgers last night, in fact. Let's see, what else do we have?
Mariners Dodgers is a big one.
Yeah. That's
big
like
series for your Mariners.
That's like the lamb going to the slaughterhouse. With the way the Mariners have been playing lately, which I will address here in a moment. Yeah, not really. After that, it things kind of tail off a little bit. But the big question on everyone's mind, Carson, is: do we have a tankathon?
We do indeed, and
Yes.
I was kind of going back and forth, but AJ, I wasn't quite ready to have a defending World Series champion be in a tankathon just yet. But
ouch!
Watch out, Texas, because you're getting very close. Watch out. But luckily for you, starting on Wednesday, we are heading to the nation's capital for the Washington Nationals and, I'm so sorry, Mile High, the Colorado Rockies.
Oh God.
So if you want to watch a series of baseball where Chris Bryant will continue to hate his life, go watch
that one might be the tankiest tankathon we've had all year.
I mean, he's openly basically pretty much said, I shouldn't have signed this contract.
Yeah. Why did he leave Chicago again?
Well, he got traded to San Francisco.
Right.
And then the Rockies did the old mafia movie, opened up the briefcase and showed him all the money. And call him Jerry Maguire because he said, "Show me the
Give
money."
me the
and they
money. Yeah,
certainly did.
yeah. I get money is a great motivator, but like you really looked at your options and went, yes, I'm going to sign with the Colorado Rockies, one of the worst franchises in all of baseball. Okay. That is a bold move. All
Bold
right.
strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for you.
All
Narrator,
right.
it has not.
Yes. No. All right. One last thing. I've got a rant. So, I think I'll let you take the lead on one last thing.
Fair enough. I don't really have a huge one last thing this time around. I suppose it is technically non-baseball related, but not in the way that potentially people think. Of course, this weekend is the start of the new Premier League season.
Yeah.
Wanted to shout out all of
Let's go Chelsea.
They're going to get destroyed by Man City today, but aside from that's besides the point. Just wanted to shout out our football loving fans here in the States and potentially those across the pond. Glory Man United. We started the season on the right note. Beautiful goal by one of our 4 signings this season, Joshua Xerxes, and to quote the infamous meme, I'd just like to put the word out there that we're back up.
Yeah. Obviously, wicked excited for the start of the new Premier League season. Love me some English football. A shout out to my friends across the pond, who are except for the one Man U fan. You know who you are. But the rest of you are Chelsea fans. So, a shout out to you guys and a thank you for introducing me to the world of the Premier League and English football, because I have been hooked ever since. Oh, by the way, little live score update. Man City and Chelsea still tied 0-0 in the 18th minute. So
it's the 18th minute. Let's relax here. It's the 18th minute. We're talking about City. I may hate them too, but it's City.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to the one Man United fan that didn't get a shout out from AJ. I got you. Man United for life. I got you. Hey, we're not the evil empire anymore. City's the evil empire.
Yeah, that's true. City has replaced Man U as the evil empire of Premier League football. That's a good point. So for all the football fans everywhere, let's settle in for 38 games of this, from now until when does the from now May, right? May is when the Premier League usually wraps up, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. So from now until May, and if you're looking for, for something to watch this winter, when baseball's over and your favorite NBA team and NHL team or your favorite NFL team is out of it, I would highly recommend, even if you've never watched soccer/football before, because Carson, I think you'd agree with me, it doesn't get much better than the Premier League.
No, the Premier League is obviously one of the most recognized leagues throughout sports, one of the best leagues in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, we're starting to build our foundations here in the US with MLS, but still got quite a ways to go to reaching the level of Premier League. And speaking of football here in the States, shout out to the US men's national team for getting a fantastic coaching hire in Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, let's hope he does better there than he did at Chelsea. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But yeah, anyways, the Premier League started. That's exciting. Meanwhile, here back on this side of the pond, baseball season is still baseball season is winding down. Unfortunately, sad noise, everybody. Yeah, the Mariners, Carson. The Seattle Mariners might be the most infuriating team in the history of baseball. They have an abundance of talent. They have arguably the best pitching staff in all of baseball. Their pitching staff has had an unbelievable year. They've been right near the top of the, the pitching staff categories, ERA and whatnot all season long. And yet they've gone from at one point before the All-Star break having a 10 game lead in the American League West to now being 4 games behind the Houston Astros and out of a wild card spot. Their pitching, they could not have asked for anything better for their pitching staff there, but their offense, and I feel like a broken record. I feel like I've been saying the same thing for the last 3 years. Their offense has been infuriatingly inconsistent. They strike out way too much. And when they do get runners on base, they ground into double plays. They swing at bad pitches. They make really boneheaded base running errors, and it's enough is enough. One season of this, one season or a part of a season, you can tolerate. You can go, all right, that's baseball. Sometimes it happens, but this has become a regular thing with the Seattle Mariners. This has been going on for the last 3 years, and enough is enough. I will go on record as saying I'm one of the biggest fans of Mariners manager Scott Service. I'm a huge fan of his. I thought he was a great hire when they brought him in, but clearly things have run their course. You cannot have a team this talented and play this badly. And I get it. Baseball's a long season. It's 162 games. It's a marathon, not a sprint, blah, 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 blah. All the usual, adages about baseball. I get it. It's a long season. You're going to have stretches. You're going to have rough patches over the course of a baseball season. You just are. Even the best teams have rough patches. But when your rough patches turn into, when a rough week turns into a rough month and a rough month turns into a rough, 3 months, there's a problem. And Scott Service, to his credit, always says the right things. He always says the right things about his team. But his latest, things are rough right now, but we're gonna pull out of it. We're gonna turn things around. Hey, Scott, that might fly in April or May when you've had a couple of bad games. But my friend, that does not fly at nearly the end of August when you're in the middle of a playoff race. That doesn't fly anymore. And as much as it pains me to say this, I think it's time for a change in Seattle. You can have the most talented roster in the world, but if you don't have the right manager, if you don't have the right voice in the clubhouse, and the right coaching staff in place to maximize that talent and get the most out of them and play winning baseball in a city that is so starved for winning baseball, championship baseball, that it's unbelievable. Enough is enough. It's time for a change. I don't know whether the Mariners are going to make the playoffs this year. It's at this point, it seems highly unlikely. But even if they do, and unless they go on a miraculous run and win the World Series, it's time for a change. It's time to clean house. Scott Service has got to go. His coaching staff's got to go. Got to clean it out. Got to start over. Got to find somebody new. Find somebody who can go in there and get the most out of this team, because wasting all this talent is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's unfair. And Scott, you gotta go. It's done.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about hiring somebody for the White Sox. If Scott Service goes from the Mariners, White Sox should scoop him up immediately.
Sure, why not?
In my eyes,
but
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I don't know,
right. Huh? You may just be right. It might be time for a new voice in that clubhouse.
I mean, I don't know. Clearly, there are some problems, and Scott Service is not a bad manager. I think you're at the point where if you're the Mariners, you're looking at and you have to wonder whether he's the right manager. Because I mean, in when it comes to baseball, I don't know. When it comes to baseball, I think more so than other sports, it's not about having the best manager. It's having the right manager. And I don't think Scott Service is the right guy for the job anymore. So, and it kills me. Mariners fans, fellow Mariners fans, it kills me to say that, but I've seen a bunch of you guys kind of saying the same thing. And obviously you never want to see somebody lose their job, but I think it's time. That being said, I would love to see Scott catch on somewhere else. The White Sox, sure. I don't know who the right voice is for the Mariners clubhouse. But yeah, you gotta make a change. So, anyways, yeah. But that's baseball. So, anyways, all right, everybody, that's all we got for you guys. Couple of real quick things before I go. One, yes, I know I have been absolutely terrible at recording and putting out the book of baseball. I promise you guys, I am going to work on that this week. So, I'll honestly probably put out there were only going to be 2 more episodes this season anyways. Probably put both episodes out at once, so keep an eye out for that. Real quick though, I did see one thing. I did see something before we came on the air. I real quick want to send thoughts and prayers and condolences to Don Orsillo and his family. Don's mom just passed away. So I think it was this morning. Yes. No, I'm sorry. It was actually a few days ago. But yeah. So obviously all the best to Don, who of course was a broadcaster for the Red Sox for all those years, and now with the Padres. All the best to Don and his family and his friends. Sounds like he's headed back east. He's taking some time, which is, sounds like he's taking some time. So, Anyways, yeah, I saw that. I caught that right before we came on. So just wanted to put that out there. But as far as the rest of you, yeah. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be good humans. Take care of your physical health, take care of your mental health. Because your mental health is just as important as your physical health, and believe it or not, they do affect each other. So yeah, have an awesome rest of your week, everybody. Keep an eye out for a new 2-Strike Count this Friday. If you haven't subscribed to 2-Strike Count, make sure you do that at eighth-inning-pod.com/2-strike count. That way you can get every new post right to your inbox. Keep an eye out for the last 2 episodes of the Book of Baseball this week. And other than that, everybody have an awesome week, and we'll talk to you guys again next week.